Welcome to the Tolkien Collector's Guide YouTube channel, where we gather experts from around the world to discuss Tolkien's books and the people who read them. I'm Urulókë, and with me are Trotter and Mr. Underhill. All right, today we're going to talk about the forthcoming publications. We got quite a few interesting titles and material that's been announced for this year. So through the summer of 2022 and beyond, I don't think we've heard everything yet. I think we're going to have some pleasant surprises down the line with some other titles, but the pipeline's already looking pretty full. So to kick us off in June, late June, so June 24th, Bodleian has the Christopher Tolkien Festschrift. Trotter, why don't you walk us through that one a little bit?
Yeah, so effectively what we've got is some essays in memory of Christopher Tolkien. One of the nice things about this is that the contents page has been listed, so you can actually go to the collector's guide and look at the contents. And there's some great contributors in there. One of the things I think is really nice is Priscilla Tolkien has actually done a personal memory of her brother, and obviously I think this is probably one of the last things that she was able to do before she died this year. So that's very nice to actually get to commemorates her a bit as well, I think, as well as Christopher. But there's some really interesting articles in there. The editors are Catherine McElwain and Richard Ovenden, who are both very experienced Bodleian librarians. Catherine, in particular, her book on the making of Middle Earth is absolutely fantastic. So it's a good sign of the quality of what we can expect, I think, from this.
Yeah, everything I've heard from the authors who have submitted articles for this, from the editors and people who have seen draft copies of this, it's piqued my interest. I think this is the #1 title I'm looking forward to this year. This is sounding like it's going to be an absolutely fantastic volume.
Yeah, we've got a couple of pictures on the site too of the actual book that have been posted, so you can see that as well, not just mock-ups. I just like y'all, I'm really excited about this book. I think that a book like this should have been written earlier. Like a tribute to Christopher Tolkien should have been written a whole lot earlier. No, there are very few people I think deserve a tribute like this more than Christopher Tolkien. So it's very well deserved. I just the book itself, there's just the look of the book. I like the color scheme. I like the orange and the blue that they chose for the dust jacket. I haven't seen any pictures of the actual boards of the book. Maybe y'all have. I don't know what that's going to look like.
Well, they're blue. They look like they're blue.
So they're blue.
Yeah.
So I'm almost as excited for just like the look of the book and how it's going to look on my shelf, in addition to the contents of the book. I may buy 2 copies, one to keep nice and one to read. I haven't quite decided yet.
Yeah. So next up is coming July 21st in the UK. I think around the same time in the US is the calendar release for the 2023 calendar. Chad, do you have any thoughts on that one?
So I'm really excited about the new calendar. It's something that HarperCollins hasn't done enough of, I think, over the years. They have taken a calendar and they've split it up amongst various artists that the average or the casual Tolkien fan may not be as familiar with. It's not the big 3, as we like to say, and they've kind of Alan Lee and Ted Nasmith and John Howitt kind of dominated the sort of official Tolkien art over the last few years. And so it's nice that HarperCollins is giving a platform like the calendar to some of these other artists to showcase their work to everybody. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think there's some great artists in there. It's illustrated by Emily Austin, Jenny Dolphin, Spiros Galekas, Justin J.R.R, Donatello Ginicola, and Kip Rasmussen. All of which I hadn't I've heard of a few of these before, but once you actually start to look at some of the illustrations that they've done, they really have picked some very, very talented illustrators to use for.
Yeah, they have. I hadn't heard of all of them before the calendar came out. So it was nice for me to be introduced to a couple of them that I hadn't heard of.
Yeah, there are award-winning artists that they've selected in here. There's Donato's done some book covers. They are well known in other fantasy spaces. Some of them are fantastic friends of mine that I know personally. I think this is one of the best things HarperCollins has done in probably over a decade for the calendars, to go back to the multi-artist and up-and-coming artists. And people, as you guys have said, aren't as well known to the wider Tolkien fan community, because this is looking absolutely awesome.
Well, you're also looking for the future as to who the future illustrators are going to be of these books, because Alan Lee and John and Ted, they're not going to be illustrating them forever. You've got to start thinking who you're going to bring in next. And quite frankly, looking at this, I think there's so many different ones. It's going to be hard to know which ones to pick more than anything else, really.
This is a nice change, like Jeremy said, for the calendar. This is reminds me of when they did the core block calendar years ago. It's something sort of unorthodox and different. So I'm glad they're doing something like that again.
Absolutely. And then after this, the next major release that has been announced is the new illustrated Foster's Guide to Middle-earth, the complete guide to Middle-earth, with new illustrations from Ted Nasmith. He is, I don't know the exact count of how many new illustrations will be in here, but this has been a long time coming. The first and second editions of this book have been hard to find for a very long time. It's been out of print in the UK, I think, for almost a decade. There's very difficult to find this Ted illustrated version of the book. And so the fact that they've brought it back, we're getting more illustrations of his, and the fact that the book itself is just a fantastic resource as far as explaining who all the people and locations and motifs that happen in the Tolkien's writings is just a very useful resource. And then the art just brings it over the top for me.
Yeah, it's a very good book in the first place. For people, you might be interested to listen to the Tolkien Reading Day discussion that we had with Bob Foster, and when he actually talks about the challenges at the time of actually doing this. And I can't really work out how you could do this with pre-computers, how you could do something like this. It just sort of amazes me how he did it.
Absolutely. And then last but certainly not least, in November, we have the illustrated edition of the Silmarillion that's coming out. This is illustrated by J.R.R. Tolkien, so the publishers have found as much art of his as possible to include into this volume. It's looking like a really nice sprayed edge book. The dust jacket is got a lot of motifs all put together in there. What are you guys' thoughts on this one?
Well, I like well, first of all, I like the callback to the first edition Silmarillion. They're kind of, I think they're paying a little bit of an homage to it. It's the same color dust jacket. It's got the same sort of design. It's got Luthien's device on the cover. We just got some images today of the page stain around the edges there. I think it's a nice green. I'm hoping that it's not. I'm hoping it's sort of more of a subtle green, and it's not. It's not like a fluorescent green.
It doesn't glow in the dark, so you don't have any lights on in your room when you go in.
It's hard to tell from the mock-ups just how green the stain is, and so I'm hoping for more of like a subtle green. And I'm also hoping that the image quality is much better than the Lord of the Rings English image quality that came out last year. Hoping that HarperCollins learned from their mistakes a little bit and they use some better paper for the image production.
We did point out, and it was pointed out in the Tolkien Collector's Guide, that the choice of paper for things like illustrations is quite important, and I'm hoping that they've gone back and
do we know if they've
the paper that they're going to use just for the illustration pages?
Do we know if they've corrected that on the the new printings of the Lord of the Rings? That
I
are
don't
coming
believe
out?
they
I don't
have.
know.
I think it's the same
Okay.
paper.
Okay.
If I had to guess, as far as I haven't heard that the second printings are showing up in market yet. I know they're supposed to imminently. I think they were around the April,
They
May
said
time
right
frame.
about now for the second printing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll have to check those out and see. I also agree. There's a lot of room to improve with the reproduction of the images. I'm very hopeful that HarperCollins does a good job with this one. I've seen a bit of rumor that they're using the colorized images for some of these. That it was Riddell, I think, who colorized some images back in the 70s when they were doing calendars with Tolkien's art. So he colorized some of his black and white ones, and it appears that they will be using the colorized ones in this book, at least in some cases. So that'll be
Well,
interesting.
they've used that for The Hobbit in the past. They've used the colorized ones. I don't have a big problem with that, to be honest. With them having
no, I don't have a problem with that either.
Them. I hope that they actually do mention that they're colorized, so that people don't think that Tolkien necessarily colored them, because some of the ones he would have colored himself, like the cover illustration, he did color that himself. So I think you need a distinction in there.
Absolutely.
Did they do that in did Alan Unwin do that in the deluxe Hobbit from 76?
Colorized ones
Is that what it says on? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it does. It says that he coloured them. Yeah, he's acknowledged as coloured them. Yeah.
Well, so exciting times. This is going to be a big year again for Tolkien Publishing. We've got some re-releases with nice new art, and we've got some new art in the calendar, and we've got a fantastic collection of essays about Christopher and probably Priscilla's last writings on Christopher herself. So I'm absolutely looking forward to all of these coming out this year.
Yeah, a lot to look forward to.
Definitely.
Awesome.